Hey, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to make a drawing of one of Marvel's most popular superheroes, this pose of the amazing Spider-Man. To make this drawing, I'll be referring to this reference sheet. This reference sheet can be downloaded by following the link in the description below. I'll go through stage 1 and stage 2 in real time, and you'll be able to draw along with me if you want. I'll also finish all the details in part 3, but this part of the video will be speeded up. If you want to draw with me, there are two options. For option 1, you'll need a 9x12 paper and a ruler. You'll need to measure the border with 1/2 inch of space at the top and bottom, and with 1 inch of space on the left and right. You need to draw a small cross or a T in the exact middle of your piece of paper, which I call a reference point. Option 2 is for you to download this border template. Once again, the link to the download is in the description below, and it will print out on a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So, if you have a 9x12 paper with a drawn border, or if you have your 8.5 by 11 paper that you printed with the border, you are ready to go. Grab your pencil and eraser, and let's draw the amazing Spider-Man. To start this drawing of Spider-Man, I'm all set up with a border, as you can see right here, and a reference point. This reference point is just a small cross in the middle of my piece of paper that can help me get the first couple of things in the right spot. So to start this drawing, I'm going to be using this blue animator pencil, and I'm going to start by getting the head of Spider-Man. So I'm going to look at my reference point. I'm going to come up a little bit upwards to the right, and at a spot that's about right here, I'm going to draw a slanted line like this. This slanted line is going to represent the center of Spider-Man's head. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw that maybe a little bit longer than I need it to be. Okay, the bottom of his head, compared to my reference point, that's about right here, and his head is tilted, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a line that slants just a little bit like this. Okay, then I'm going to come up to my border, and I'm going to come down, I'm going to check my negative space, and I'm going to want the top of his head to be, about right here. Negative space is the distance that surrounds an object. Okay, so I've got the top of his head here, bottom here, and I want to draw a type of oval that's a little wider at the top, as you can see, and as I come down, I want it to get a little more pointy, a little skinnier as we come down here to the chin. He's pretty much looking straight at us. We want this to be kind of symmetrical, as you can see here. But I want to take my time as I get this shape as accurate and in the right place. Okay, I'm also going to put a line here across his head, which represents where the bottom of his eyes are going to be. And I'm going to get that line curving, of course, as you can see like this. Okay, now I feel really good about the size, position, shape of his head, so I'm ready to continue. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to come down from my reference point, and I'm going to slant towards the right. Once again, I'm going to come down here about this far, and I'm going to put a little dot right here. Now, this dot represents the point at where his two legs are going to meet. And what I want to do is I want to draw upwards and to the right with a nice curve. It's going to curve out and up like this. It's going to come over. It's going to straighten out a little bit. And I'm going to be right next to my border. Okay, now here, next to my right border, I'm going to put a little mark for negative space. And right here, I'm going to draw a circle representing his knee joint. Okay, about right there. So curving up like that, as you can see. Now, on the other side, it's going to go up a little bit, and then it's going to curve downward, not too much, but I'm thinking of a spot somewhere over here on the left side. Again, I'm going to check my negative space. I'm going to put a mark. I want it to be pretty close to my border. And when I go ahead and mark that, I'm going to draw again a small circle representing his knee joint. Okay, so I'm working on a very simplified skeleton. This would be for kind of like his leg bones, as you can see right there. Okay, next, I want to draw in his shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the side of my head, judge my negative space, and I want the shoulder to be about this far away from the side of his head. Okay, about right there. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to check my negative space, I'm going to come down, and I want that to be something like this, and I'm going to draw another circle representing his shoulder joint. And I'm really being careful about the distance between the head and the circle over here. Okay, now over here, about straight across, but a little further away, I'm going to make another mark about right here. And I'm going to go ahead and locate at about this point another circle for his shoulder. Now, what I need you to notice is a little bit lower, and this one's fairly close to his head, as you can see right here, but over here, it's a little bit further away. Okay, so we've got to be aware of that relationship. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and just curve up. I'm going to come right here, right under my border for a relatively small negative space, and I'm just going to curve around and connect like this to my first shoulder joint. Okay, keep that drawing nice and light in case we have any mistakes we need to correct. Okay, let's continue with these arm bones. So I'm going to come down here from the circle joint, shoulder joint. I'm going to come down, I'm going to be slanted, so not quite straight up and down, slanting a little bit to the left. And I'm going to come down right below his leg bone. And right here, I'm going to draw another circle, and this will represent his shoulder. I said shoulder, but I meant elbow joint right there. Okay. Now on this side, I'm also going to slant downwards towards the right this time, but this time I'm going to keep this elbow joint above his leg, so something about like this. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. All right. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to slant downward for this forearm bone. I'm going to come down. I'm going to draw this longer than I need it to be. Checking that angle. That looks about right. And then I'm going to draw right in this location, right about right here. Right in here. This will be for his wrist. Okay, very good. Now, often when students draw, they like to draw hands that are too small, but I'm going to want the size of these hands to be large. In fact, it's going to come down and it's going to be right above my bottom border. So I'm just marking that right here, as you can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swoop down like this with a bit of a curve, and I'm going to stop about right here, and I'm going to bend it down and hit my mark near the bottom of my piece of paper. Okay, now over here on this side, I'll come down, curve over, maybe about right here, just like that. Okay, then I'll just continue down here and just kind of connect this up together, something like this. And this is a very basic, simplified shape, and all of this eventually is going to be filled up by Spider-Man's hand and his fingers. Okay, now let's work on the second wrist. So from this elbow, I'm going to come across that leg, going to come down, but about right in here, right about here, I'm going to draw my wrist joint. Okay, see about how far away it is from my leg, about right here. And I'll draw it like this. Okay, and that's a relatively short bone. It's about right there. Looks about right. Now, what I need to notice now is how the two wrists relate to each other and how the hands relate to each other. So from this wrist, I'm just going to curve downward a bit and then come right to the top of my first wrist. Okay, then I'm going to cut through the center of this first wrist, come down through my first hand, and then I want to come out about right here. See how it's coming out like that? And then this will come down like this, and I'll curve out a little bit, just like that. Okay, very good. So what we have now is a simplified skeleton of Spider-Man. And what we need to do next, we need to add some more simplified shapes, kind of representing some of the larger muscles, and we'll continue constructing this Spider-Man. Okay, so I'm going to start with his thigh over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up my arm bone, and I'm going to put a mark about right here. So what I want to do is draw the center of this leg. I'm going to come up. I want to hit that mark, continue going up, and then I want to bend it over and downward towards my knee joint like that. What I was noticing is where it crossed this arm. Okay, now for the bottom of that thigh, it's going to cross about in the middle of this arm bone, so maybe right here. So I'll just put in a little curve, and I'll curve downward. I'll come over here. I'll just kind of sketch in this shape like this, nice and rounded here at the knee, coming down to this nice shape right there. Okay, and that gives us a nice leg shape. Okay, over here, I'm going to do another thigh over here. I'm going to check this elbow. I'm going to go right above it, about right here. I'll put a mark there, and that's what I'm going to draw towards. I'm going to start here, go up, over, drawing towards my mark, hit that. I want to continue over and down, drawing towards the end of my knee, like this. Okay, and that gives me the top of that thigh. Okay, then I'm going to look at this wrist joint right here, and I'm going to notice that this thigh line is going to come and cut right through it, about right there. Okay, so I need to draw like this, curve a little bit, cut through it, come downward, and sweep over, and connect like this. So nice, like that. It gives me a nice, thick thigh, leg, as you can see. But it's very important to see how it related to that wrist, cutting right through kind of the bottom area of that wrist. Okay, very good. Let's put on some shoulder and arm muscles. Okay, so I'm going to draw shoulder muscle right in here. I'm noticing a couple things. It's going to be really close to his head, so I'm going to mark it. And it's actually going to come down into this thigh about right here. So when I draw this oval like this, I kind of know where I need to be. I need to be close to his head, come down with it, go inside just a little bit his thigh, come up, be in this general area right here, and connect like this. I want to go over that again, just make sure it's kind of nice and smooth. It's an oval, not a circle. Okay, and I noticed it was close to the head and it went down inside his thigh. Okay, very good. Let's do a bicep. Now, my bicep oval is going to cross this arm about right here, okay? And it's going to come down and be inside his elbow about here. Okay, so that gives me an idea of where this needs to be in this general area. You can see me lightly indicating that right here. Okay, so here I go. Once again, it's kind of close to his head, coming down, and I want to make sure that it's coming like this inside my elbow. Okay, it's going to come down like this right here and like that. And I'll just go over that again. Remember, it's a simplified shape, and I'm just using this oval to kind of construct that, as you can see. Okay, now there's a lot of lines that are starting to happen here. We can't be confused. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a forearm oval. Okay, now that's going to touch the side of his elbow. It's also going to touch his thigh, and it's going to be just barely under the shoulder, so it's just right here with a really thin space right there. Okay, so it's going to be like this. It's going to come down. It's going to go all the way and touch the top of my wrist, so I know that. It's going to come down like this. Touch the top of that wrist. I'm going to touch his thigh and come down just like that. Okay, very good. Nice oval. Now there's a couple little connectors. There's a little line like this to connect the forearm to the hand. And another one right here too. Okay, 3 ovals, 3 simplified ovals to construct that arm. Okay, looking good. One more arm to do. Okay, now this shoulder was very close to his head. This one is a little further away, so I'm going to mark it about right here, only that close to my head. Okay, now this one's going to be a little bit above my thigh, so maybe here. So in this area right here, I'm sketching my oval. Okay, so like this, coming down, up, got that nice oval shape, like this, representing a shoulder. Maybe you've noticed I haven't really used my eraser yet, and that's because that when I'm drawing, especially if I'm drawing ovals or circles, I just keep kind of going around until it becomes the right size. Okay, second oval, bicep. It's going to go right through my elbow here, and it's going to go right through this bone about here like this. So in this general area. Okay, so again, I'm going to sketch that lightly. Coming up right there. Nice and rounded. Just like that. Okay, let's do one more large oval for his forearm. Okay, now what I need to notice, it's kind of right here near the outside of my elbow. It's going to come up and be right under, almost touching my shoulder, just right there. Okay, and then of course it's going to come down and touch the top of my wrist. So in this area right here, and right there. So notice it's a little wider at the top, a little skinnier at the bottom. Go around that several times if I need to. Okay, that looks good. And then a couple little connectors to connect that to the hand, the wrist right there. And another one right here, just like that. Okay, and there you have it. Simplified version of the amazing Spider-Man. So there you go. How did yours turn out? Was it amazing, or at least amazingly fun to draw? Thanks again for watching and or drawing. I hope you had a good time and that you learned something. I hope to see you again sometime back on my channel. Have a great day, and don't forget to keep on drawing.